Hello, folks. Have you written off Pinterest because you think your business is just not right for it? Would you like to make all of your pins more interesting and engaging? Hello, folks. I'm Jeff C. of Manly Pinterest Tips, and I'm here with my super special guest, whatever she is. She's awesome. Peg Fitzpatrick. We are so happy to have you guys on. As we're going along today, this show is all about you. Make sure you ask your questions down below, and we'll try to pull those up and get to those during the show today. And also, if you hear Peg, and I know she's going to do it, she drops knowledge bombs all the time. If you hear a great knowledge bomb, do hashtag Tailwind Tip, and you'll be entered to win a drawing of these awesome Tailwind selfie lights. Look at this. Ooh, it even
selfie
lights
light
up your beard for the holidays. So, so if you're hearing something great, do hashtag Tailwind Tip, and that way lets us search for those easier when we do the drawing at the end of the show. So make sure you do that. Now, this guest, you all know who she is, but I'm going to say it anyway. This guest has over 1.5 million followers on social, is co-author of The Art of Social Media, Power Tips for Power Users, and is on top of every event organizer speaker list. She's also a fan of Pink and of Pinterest, and I'm so excited. Peg is actually who taught me almost everything I know about social media. So, Peg, thank you so much for
Don't blame me. It's not my fault. He's like this. I'm just kidding.
That's right. It's all Peg's fault. Yes.
Hi, everybody. Say hi if you're like in the comments. Say hi. Get your questions ready because we want to hear them.
So, Peg, tell us what you've been working on lately, because I think it's been a while since we've had you on the show. So I'd love to know, what you've been doing.
What I've been doing. Let's see. I've been working on a podcast that you may have heard of because Jeff and I are working on it together.
Yes.
And that is like, I have to say, learning something 100% new. So maybe you're a new Pinterest person and you'll relate to this, or maybe you're new to Instagram or something. But podcasting, I have not podcasted before. So it's like learning all these new tools, all this new stuff. So there's been a learning curve, but we hit new and noteworthy this week. So
yes, it's awesome. So you need to go check it out, guys. Kawasaki's Remarkable People. It's really fun. Some of the things that, like you had taught me a long time ago back in the Google Plus days. So that's how long Peg and I have been friends through many social media successes and failures. We've been on, and she taught me a lot of the Google Plus. I kind of miss Google Plus because we did live video back in the day before there wasn't even mobile.
So long ago.
It was a long time ago. So
I have to tell you, Jeff, I saved something to tell you while we were live.
Oh, great.
I got this email from Google yesterday for this new program that they were coming out with called Google Cameo. What? Cameo, it's an app. And then I responded to them. They're like, you can apply it if you want to be verified. You can blah, blah, blah. And I responded to the email saying, hey, I was verified on Google Plus and YouTube. So I'm already like in your system. What is this new thing? And then they sent me an email back saying, oh, we're sorry. You're not really supposed to be on our list.
Oh my gosh. That's
but
funny.
Total spoiler alert, though, they have this new thing they're trying to come up with. Since I don't have an NDA or the product, I'll just tell you what I could see from what they sent me. It's like this new thing where you can answer questions that people look on Google. So like if they search for like, do men use Pinterest? And then Manly Pinterest Tips comes up, you could like respond to that with a video and say, hey, I'm Jeff. I'm a guy, I pin, and here's a podcast to teach you how to do it. Oh, so I don't know when it's coming out or anything, but they're gathering their celebrities, which doesn't include me.
Well, you're a celebrity in our eyes, Peg. So, see, that's why we have you on, because you have all this cool stuff. I do want to bring up a comment.
No, I don't have that. I thought that was really funny.
Well,
they were like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Wrong email, wrong person. Shonda says, she goes, I love these webinars. It's her favorite day of the week. Well, thank you so much, Shonda. I appreciate that. It is one of my favorite days of the week, especially when I have people like Peg Fitzpatrick on. One of the things I do want to tell you guys about is we have this new updated planner. It's updated for 2020 with best practices, insights, pin tune-ups. If you want to know when to pin stuff on what month, it's all in there. It's super awesome. Lisa has been working really hard on it. She is unable to be here today with some stuff going on. So so thankful that Peg was able to come on, and we're not going to have any trouble with questions here. Oh, what do you have right there?
I still have my original one.
You have to get, this one is a PDF file. It's easy. Go download it right now. There's
I know, I
I have
love it
one.
though.
Yeah, mine's right
It's a
over on the
great little
side.
guide. So when you guys get it, you'll use it all the time if you're smart.
Yeah, it is very cool. So go check it out. It's bit.ly/ Pin Planner Unleashed. That's bit.ly/ Pin Planner Unleashed for all the podcast listeners out there. So, Peg, we're talking today all about, is my business too boring for Pinterest? And I've gotten in trouble before saying one time I thought they asked what business wouldn't do good on Pinterest. And I said, well, maybe an undertaker. And all these people email me back in with all these ideas like you could talk about grief and helping people and all this content. So I don't say that anymore. So
Right.
if somebody says my business is too boring for Pinterest, what do you tell them?
Honestly, usually they're just not thinking properly about their marketing. That's the thing. So there's no industry that's too boring or hard to do for social media. Yes, it might be a little bit more challenging, but honestly, even like blogging is like a challenge for Pinterest because they didn't really create Pinterest for people who are writing articles. They created it really like fashion, food things. Those are like really easy because you do pictures of your recipes and things like that. So even if you really want to be honest, like blogging is actually a hard to do topic for Pinterest. But if you have a really challenging thing, like say an undertaker or a dry cleaner or something that seems like it's a challenge, you just need to kind of look at how you can reach the people that you need to help. So it's basically like finding how you can help people and how you can reach people. Even if maybe say you are a dry cleaner, if you are any dry cleaners, say hi. Like if you saw me just tweet this on Twitter or if you're following it, if you are a dry cleaner, you could do related topics like fashion, like sustainable fashion, like different things. So if you want to come up with a plan for your company, think about your main products and then what you can kind of wrap around it, a couple things that can go with it. Every brand can probably find a way to work holidays into what they're pinning. The thing is, I think that people need to not think that they need to pin just their products. Unless you're Target, you're not going to have enough things to pin all the time. Target has millions of products and they have a huge budget where they can just do photo shoots and do all these things. You might need to be a little bit more creative, but small businesses, medium-sized businesses, you can be successful on Pinterest by thinking about your industry and how you can kind of wrap those boards around it. You never want to have like one board with all your stuff on it and nothing else because that's not going to be successful on Pinterest. They kind of want to see a well-rounded, more than just your products. Even big brands do other things. They do just a holiday board or just, something that's related to things. And as a blogger, that's how I kind of worked around it being more difficult. Number one, I use Pinterest as a pinner. So most of the things that I pin are things that I'm really interested in right now. It's the Christmas season, so I have lots of holiday pins like most people. Raise your hand or share your favorite pin in the comments because today was pinning fudge because my husband wanted me to make peanut butter fudge. So I was looking for recipes. So kind of think about like a Pinterest user, being a Pinterest user for your brand too. Just make sure that it's on target. You don't want to be too off topic.
So that's a great point because we've had some people on here before and it's kind of controversial about like businesses, they should only pin like, if you are a florist, all you can do is pin stuff that's related to having flowers, but so you don't agree with that. You're like, it makes,
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I don't agree with that. And I will say in my years, I'm going on like a decade. I'm like a digital dinosaur now that everybody knows that I'm at least 20. Anyway, just kidding. But the thing is, even going back way to the beginning of blogging, people always try to figure out ways to game things. Like, how can we do things to game things? And when you're trying to do like keyword stuffing or all that kind of stuff, Google doesn't like it. And Pinterest is the same way. They don't want to see you just trying to spam their system with just your own content. Pinterest is made so they can help people discover things that they love. They want people to find things that they love, that they're interested in. So if you're sharing only one thing over and over and over again, Pinterest isn't going to like it. So use common sense whenever this is the big news flash. Marketing is common sense. if it seems like it's too good to be true, it usually is. You got to like work a little bit at stuff. You're not going to just pin your products over and over again. You need to have things that are interesting for people. So say you are the undertaker, like Jeff said, there's ways that you could do that. You could, you could talk about, you could have different boards for seasons. You could have different boards for like family memories, like how to capture your family memories. There's different ways to do things. You just need to think about a way that fits into the Pinterest model of what can we show people about your business or you that's going to be interesting to other people. If you have stuff, if you're an individual person and you have a business that you're doing for Pinterest, be careful that you're not mixing things up too much so it's like your personal things. My brand is my name, Peg Fitzpatrick, my blog is my name. So I kind of take creative license with that by, when people look at my Pinterest, they are getting to know me, which is one of the things that it's good for if you're an individual. If you're a business, you wouldn't want to have things that are too off topic, but you really just want to think of things, like I said, that wrap around it. So for example, if you're Tailwind, you're talking about your products, you're talking about how to use Pinterest, how to use Instagram, but you could also have a board for like design, like pins that we love, that are like pins that did well in the system, or you could have quotes that, inspire us, that could be, a quote board. So there's ways that you can do things that aren't exactly your product, but are interesting to who might follow you.
Gotcha. I want to do some shout outs here to some people who have watched this. Phoebe, mom says this. She goes, she said, I love these webinars. We've already seen that one, but she goes, ultimate Pinterest planner. That's her Tailwind tip. Lee says hi from Dothan, Alabama. I think, did I say that right? Yeah. So, so look at all, we've got a ton of great comments in here. Alina says you have to be, you need to be more creative to succeed on Pinterest as a Tailwind tip. That is a great idea. And this is a question I would love to get you to weigh in on. Samantha asked, what about the RSS pin board, as this only pins from my blog? Do you use the RSS kind of feature where you can pull in stuff from Pinterest? I don't use it because I want more control, but I didn't know if you knew of any other bloggers who use it in this way.
No, I don't use it, but I mean, there isn't a problem with using it as long as you take the time to set all your pins up properly. That would be the thing. This can segue into another question that we had that was on when we launched that we were having this webinar or live stream, whatever we want to call it.
Right.
I use Tasty Pins for my blog. So I have a plugin that I use that sets up my pins so they don't show on the actual blog post, but when you go to pin it using Pinterest button or your Tailwind Chrome extension, it pulls up options that I have saved in the back end in this. So I can do multiple pins with multiple descriptions, different hashtags, different titles, and all of that right in there. So if you're taking the time to really set your pins up right, I think the RSS feed would be fine. I like to personally go on and pin them directly. I usually upload the image and do all that because Pinterest really likes to see fresh content. So if I have fresh content, I like to upload it or add the new pins. I don't think I would like to see one if it went in, if it took a different image that I didn't want it to pin. I'm not sure if it would just take the top image. So really, that's kind of a loaded question. Like, can you use the RSS feed? Yes, if you have everything set up so it pulls the pins in the way you like them, then it's fine. But if you like a little bit more control and you like to make sure everything looks great, then you can upload it. I mean, I don't know how often people are blogging, but for me, it's always worth the time to add the new pins because I'm sure this number has changed. The last number I heard, I think, was like 85% of pins are repins. And I don't know if that's changed at all, but I think that being in that 20% of adding something new and fresh is important. So when I'm doing that, I like to optimize it by doing it myself manually because I don't have that many new things. I repin more than 80% are repins for my own content. So yeah, I mean, you can use it, but I would just make sure that it looks good.
Gotcha.
That's what I would say.
Here's a great kind of practical question from Dolores. She goes, I work in a small museum, and I have created
How
travel
fun.
boards, seasonal boards, road trip boards, teaching boards, history, and social studies. And I'm thinking about what else I could add. So she's kind of wanting to know. Um, I can think of some ideas, like just because I love going to museums, what I would
Me
want to
too.
see, like behind the scenes of a museum, like behind the scenes board where you share like pictures or even blog content of like or videos even of taking them behind the scenes when you're getting a new like curation exhibit ready. You could actually break
Mhm.
your boards down by if you have them broken by different parts of the country. I mean, so yeah, you could do so many creative things. What are your thoughts, Peg?
Same. I mean, you could do a local board for other things that are around
Mm,
there. So if people are going to be traveling to your town that's in the museum, you could feature, you could do like say the top three exhibits in your museum. Maybe you could do a board for them and have some photos from your exhibits, but then also related things that are related to that. So, say, for example, you had an exhibit on Susan B. Anthony. You could have things that you have in the museum, but then you could also pin like Rochester, New York, where she lived. You could pin things about like quotes that she said. So you could like do a little study on one of your topics. I feel like that would be really interesting. But yay, that's awesome
yeah,
working for a
that's really cool.
museum.
That's the first time I've ever heard of a museum using Pinterest, and I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
And Teresa Woods chimes in to what you were talking about personal. And she goes, I do a networking marketing for health and wellness, but I'm also a competitive rower. So I have boards for the products and exercise and healthy eating. So I think that's cool. That's showing who she
Yeah.
is, like you were talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, well-rounded.
Mhm.
And also, people follow individual boards as well as a whole account. So you could have boards that are more popular than other boards, but the more popular boards will help your ones that aren't as popular. So they
Mhm.
kind of work together,
Yeah,
I
and
feel
this is
like.
a question about Debbie asked this. She goes, when you use tasty pins or hide pins manually, does it slow your page as they do even if hidden? So she's wanting to know about tasty
No.
pins. Okay.
Yeah, that's the good thing is that it does not slow it down. It's very fast. It's a very lightweight plugin. It works fantastically. I love it. So it actually helps. If I had all the big images on my pages, that's what would slow it down. Whenever I do speed checks, it's always images that slow my website down because I always put big images. So using the plugin, it helps the images be in the back end and it doesn't slow it down, but it's still, and also with that, you can choose to have some images not pinned. So for example, if you do a small image at the top, like if you had just a little header image, but you don't want people to pin that, you can click on, there's a little box you can click off so people can't do that or other things that you don't want pinned. So you can manually force one to be the first one that pops up, because sometimes if you have a lot of images, it'll all pop up and you'll see like all these images to pin. It'll put the one that you want first. So
Mhm.
I think that it helps my website a lot as far as speed goes, and it does not slow it down.
What about this
So
question? Because I personally don't use Tasty Pins yet, but I'm really interested in it. She
mhm.
asks, do you think Tasty Pins is worth paying for if you're newer to all of this?
I do, because honestly, going back to optimize all your images 2 or 3 years from now is going to be really hard. And I'm telling you that from experience because I had a lot of big images and it was before all these things came out. And I had to go through and optimize images and decide what to do and redoing it. So there's an annual fee. It's not very much. I mean, this is a tailwind thing, so I shouldn't be just talking about a different product, but they do work really well together. So if
Hmm.
you're doing all your Pinterest, you want to make sure you're optimizing everything. And to me, it is worth the cost. It's only like 29 a year.
Hmm.
I know it seems like a lot, and prices add up when you have a lot of things, but you should look at what costs are important for your blog. And I would say Tailwind is worth it because you
Oh
can
gosh, yeah.
load it up with all your pins and it schedules them out. I would say a design tool is worth it. And I would say Tasty Pins is worth it. I don't pay for a lot of plugins for my website, but that is one that I feel is worth it because I want people to pin great things for my website.
Well, speaking of things that are free and not expensive, we have this pin planner that you could download right now. It's been updated for 2020. If you would like to get that, make sure you go to bit.ly/ pin planner unleashed. That's all lowercase, all smashed together. That's bit.ly/ pin planner unleashed. So go check that out because 2020 is coming up. It's a great time to start optimizing. We're going to hit the holidays pretty soon. And after you're full on all those popcorn balls and the ham and everything, a lot of times
Chex Mix.
just chilling in front of the TV with some Pinterest and your iPad, optimize the stuff you've got, and this Pinterest planner will really help with that. So go check that out. So, Peg, what are some creative ways? I know you're always checking out what other people are doing. Have you seen some companies that might be considered boring that do really well on Pinterest that you kind of get inspired from?
That's a good question. Have I seen boring questions? I think the thing is that if you're creative in the pins or the videos that you make, there is no boring industry. I just see interesting stuff. And the thing with my Pinterest is like Pinterest knows me really well, and everything it shows me in my feed is stuff that I like. So I never see things that I don't like. Isn't that funny? Like their AI is so good that they know what I like. So no matter what it is, and here's one example, Ruggable. Have you seen Ruggable ads,
No,
Jeff?
what is it?
Oh my God, I get them all the time on Facebook and on Pinterest. Ruggable is this rug where it has a thing that goes down on the floor, like a mat that's underneath it, and then the rug goes on top of it, but you can wash the rug. So if you have a little Yorkie, like I do, who's a little brat, and you need to wash your rugs, you can wash these things. Well, I have had ads for them all the time, and it's always showing like how they work, what they do. And I finally ordered one. So they actually do that's the thing about Pinterest is they show you things that you like. So I think the thing to think about with that is as long as you're creative and showing interesting things, people will check it out. Like there's some brands that I see a lot, like Cool Whip, like Kellogg, there's like food brands that I'll see their little how-to videos a lot. And sometimes it's products that I might not necessarily buy. So I think the thing is to really get it out of your head that you have a boring industry and just come up with things that are creative to reach people. You know what I mean? We have to get I know this is the topic of our show, but really, I do have a challenging industry that I work in, and I could whine about it, but I just have to figure ways out to do
it. It makes you be creative.
It does. I think I am more creative, and because of it, and also it's a challenge when you're doing the same products all the time. If you're not like a company that has a ton of new products all the time, you do have to be creative. And one thing that I did was I started doing like a monthly product spotlight, and then just doing a whole bunch of things about that. And I tested it. I do it on Instagram and Pinterest. And I thought, well, people won't be interested in it. Will it be too much? But on Instagram, even, they're very popular. People want to know the attributes of the product. So think about ways that you can share it. Maybe it's not just an image. Maybe you're talking about some way that it works, or some way to use it, or some way that someone else has used it. You could also do customer testimonials for more challenging industries, for people to talk about how much they liked your products. You could do quotes, you could do little videos, just different ways to get the word out about what you do without it just being a product to share. Yeah, you just have to think about it. I mean, it is challenging, but as marketers, that's what we like, right? We like a challenge, and we know that something's going to change every day, so we have to learn something new, right?
That's right. It feels like it has to change every single day. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up is Carrie goes, oh yeah, that rug is so cool. So yeah.
See, they're out there with their ads.
Yeah. Well, you got to think too, is some of the things that, you wouldn't, Home Depot really, I mean, it's got a bunch of nuts and bolts and stuff, but they kill it. And Lowe's does too on Pinterest, because they know that people are going there for how-to stuff. And, they know how to plug into that kind of thing.
There's a guy named Ben, and I can't remember his last name, but he actually he's like an architect turned like Pinterest expert, because he was in the Pinterest experts when they had those people that they chose. And he was making all this great content for Pinterest, like how to make concrete planters, like cool things that you could make. And he would share the instructions free. And then it was like be sponsored by Home Depot or whoever. You get your Homer bucket, you get your cement, you get the stir, you make your little mold. And it was very smart that they teamed up with influencers to work with tools, which you would think that wouldn't be popular, but people want to learn how to make things. So it was very popular. And Home Depot actually has furniture now, which a lot of people don't know. probably trying to compete with the Wayfair market.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, everybody's trying to reach different people, expand their markets. So yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna
Pinterest is
put.
a great way to do it.
Yeah, and I was gonna. There's some other great ideas that people. I'm trying to find a comment in the comments, but she was talking about how she makes. Oh, here it is. It's from Donna, and I thought it was a great point. She goes, "I have been pinning my YouTube and Facebook Live crafting videos, which have been increasing her followers lately. I think that's a great way to do it. I would also, Donna, try taking some clips out of your Facebook Lives and your YouTubes, and take that and actually make some shorter clips and try video pins, because they're really, especially if they're how-to, those are coming up higher in the search on Pinterest. So I would try doing that to see if that would make any difference, because video, they're really giving it some love over on Pinterest.
Everywhere. And if you're planning ahead, you could even do some vertical videos so they would look good on vertical pins.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing Instagram lives or IGTV,
Right.
you could save that video, or you could use Rush, which is the Adobe product, to take your horizontal video and make it into a vertical video, and you could add some text on it, like, some steps in the name of it. I think that would be super popular. But crafting is so popular on Pinterest. So definitely, I'm sure your videos will do great.
Yeah, and so one of the things, another comment, and this is from Christy. She goes, I want to make video pins. Do you recommend an app that helps insert a video into a pin-size graphic? Well, I do. One of my favorite ones right now is called Promo, and I just love it because they have great clips. They have really easy-to-use templates. I have just been really and they make video pins. I've done a couple video pins based on my blog articles, and they're short. Their music syncs completely with it. A lot of times you'll find video programs that, they may have a great tool, but the clips that you get are really kind of cheesy. Promo, I think, really does a great job. They can be a little pricey for what you have so many, but they roll over like your credits you get to create those videos. So that's really helpful. But for me, it has really been worth it because it's really, really fast. They have some really funny kind of entertaining clips that you can use for boring businesses. And make it kind of fun. And so I would check the Promo out. Peg, do you have any tips on that?
Yeah, Canva Pro added video now. Have you tried that out,
Oh, I
Jeff?
have not played with that yet.
Yeah, Canva has video now. So if you have Canva Pro, they have video now, so you could make Pinterest-sized videos right in there. And they have stickers, and actually you can make audiograms for podcasts or other things in Pinterest
Very cool.
size, and share those as well. I'm still testing in this testing stage for podcasting, and the audiograms actually did pretty well.
Okay, cool. We'll have to test that out because I have not played with it yet.
Yeah. So Canva, if you're a Canva Pro user, they're in there, and they have stock video that's very nice. So if you're already paying for that, another feature for you.
So let's see. There's some other comments. Oh, Carrie goes, oh my gosh, if I ran Home Depot social media, I'd have a field day. Yeah, it would be fun. That would be a fun account. I would be in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maureen asked this question. She
So many
goes,
products.
yeah. She goes, can you use the exact same video on YouTube that are used on other platforms? You can play YouTube natively in Pinterest, but remember, it's going to be on the YouTube kind of format. So I found especially longer videos don't do as well with that. I still think it might be worth it if you had a bunch of YouTubes like for me, I like how to manage your Pinterest account, and I had a bunch of videos on that. To me, that would make sense to create a video board on that, put them there, and let people, if they wanted to see those, they could see them. They could watch them inside of Pinterest, and those, if they click on it inside of Pinterest, it counts as a video viewed over on YouTube. So that makes sense for me, to do. But if my best choice would be to try to make those shorter clips like we talked about before, optimize them for those taller vertical video pins if you can, and put them as video pins. Now, Adobe Premiere has a great new tool built inside of their Premiere platform called Auto Resize that you can drag in your video, and it even has this algorithm, so if you have motion or something going on, it will try to follow that around, like if you make it a square video or you put it into that vertical video. So you can click one button and you can go out output all these different sizes for social media, which I found super helpful and fast.
That's crazy. That's in
Yeah.
Premiere.
Yeah. Adobe
I think
Premiere.
I have, that's in Creative Cloud, right?
Yes, it is. You have it. I know what you
Yeah,
have. So
Creative
yes, you
Cloud
have
and
it.
everything. I know who uses all the Creative Cloud apps. I mean, there's like a million.
Yeah,
You
I
use
do.
all
Well,
of them?
not most of them. Some of the logging stuff I don't do. So, um,
Okay.
Sandra says this, and this is she's over on YouTube. She goes, "Guys, I finally posted my first video, and it's going very well. Thanks so much for all the help." Well, thank you for telling us that, Sandra. Thank you for as we're streaming that over on YouTube to pop in. Carrie goes, "Ooh, I haven't tried the auto resize in Adobe Premiere Pro yet. Can't wait. Go check it out.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's under your sequence settings. Go up there and hit sequence. It's down at the bottom. Try it out on a video and let me know how it goes." So,
Or you could even use the easier version, which is the Adobe Premiere Rush, because
right.
there's less buttons and stuff in there. You can put your video in there and resize that too
Yeah.
easily in a snap.
It's really cool because I like that one too because it's cross-platform. So whatever you see on your phone, it'll be up on your iPad and then also on desktop. So if you've been kind of scared to go with Adobe Premiere, try a Premiere Rush, which is their version, and then you can actually import it later into a Premiere Pro project. That's a lot of P's, but yeah. So
Perfect.
it works really well. Yeah, perfect. That's right. So there's some other questions. Yeah, we talked about Canva Pro. That's really cool. I would like to try that as well. Promo is one that we mentioned. Wave is another one that some people have used.
There's also apps too. I have
Yeah.
some apps that I use. Let's see. I like Video Boost. I think that's the one that you gave me, Jeff.
Yep, I love that one.
So there's different apps that you can find if you want to just do something on your phone. Which is really easy. I mean, you'd think that it wouldn't be easy to do video on your phone, but it's actually, I just did Rush. I did my video for a conference that's coming up that Jeff and I are going to.
Right.
And I did my video on my phone and I just edited it in Rush super quick. It was fast.
Yeah, there you go. So let's see. One other question I wanted to ask you, Peg. So we talked about kind of what some other companies are. You talked about Home Depot. You know, there's a pin that I still use in some of my slides when I present. It's this picture of this carpet from this carpet cleaning company. And all it was the top of it was a really nasty moldy carpet. And then they had right below it another carpet, the same carpet that was cleaned. And it was like before and after. And that's all it was. And that pin had so many thousands of repins. It was amazing. So I think that, you know, like you had been talking all along, is be creative. Think of what you can do. That pin is a horrible looking pin. It's not pretty. It doesn't think you shouldn't do well on Pinterest, but it shows what it does. You know, it's before and after, and that's what people are looking for when they want to figure out how to clean a carpet.
Right. And the other thing to think about is when people are Google searching, that information is definitely like Pinterest uses, they know what else you've been looking at online. So when people are searching for whatever your industry is somewhere else, when they come to Pinterest, that stuff is going to surface there as well. I don't know how they do it, but they do. All those algorithm things, chaser ads from websites, all of those things. Yeah, Ruggable's got some pretty strong like chaser ads, and sometimes those are annoying and sometimes they're fine. I have to say Pinterest and Instagram, they don't bother me as much as like Facebook when they're all over on things.
Right.
It gets to be like,
and I'm starting to see some more clever, funny video pins on Pinterest. I mean, I know you worked with in the past Poopery, which is one of my favorite companies because their ads are so funny. And so, you know, they're super creative, and that's not a really sexy thing to talk about, but they made it fun.
Oh, that doing research, client disclosure, I did work with them, so full disclosure. But that was like the best. I was like hysterically laughing in my office. My husband kept saying, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm researching. This is hysterical." Like they took a really hard product. Theirs is one of the hardest, I would say. And they made it, number one, they made it funny. They do client testimonials where people talk about using their product, which is a spray before you go spray. So basically what they did was people didn't know how to use their product. So they really explain in very simple terms how to use their product. They make it funny. They were already selling products, but they had that one video that went absolutely viral. And then, they just keep creating great content. They have a very, very creative team. Their creative director is amazing. She writes the scripts for videos, and their social team is great. It's a great company. And they really are like focused on their clients and how to help them and how to teach people how to use their product. So there's a lot of lessons you can learn right there, like how to use their products. Another company, this is not necessarily hard to use one, but Benefit Makeup. I love Benefits. They're very funny. They have like a great sense of humor when they show their like how to do brows. They'll do like the before brow will literally be like just like a gorilla brow. Like it'll be like this huge thing. And then, obviously that that's not a real one. But so It's funny, they use a sense of humor with it. And that is good. Like if you have a little bit more of a challenge, be funny.
Yeah.
Right. You got to make sure that you're...
And don't just think it's funny for yourself. Ask other people, because humor is very subjective, and there's a lot of it could cross the line. Poopery and like even Squatty Potty, they don't cross the line. They're at the edge and it's funny, but you could easily go over if you're not careful. So make sure you test it out. Don't just show it to like your buddy at the office. Go out a little wider than that and see, is this okay? I didn't say anything offensive. Is it good to use as content? And so, Peg is my go-to. She'll say don't share that, for goodness sake, Jeff, what are you thinking? You would have people and friends like that.
Squatty Potty is in the same industry if you want to go.
Right.
And they use like a unicorn with rainbow,
Yeah.
But so they made it like a little bit lighter.
Right. So, but it's genius how they did it. And that's another one that went viral. We do have some more questions. I want to bring this up from Amanda, and it was actually answered in the comment. She goes, what resource that explains the best format and layout for a Pinterest pins? And Lorena says this. She goes, Pinterest actually has their own courses that walk you through their specs. Yeah, they've come out with a lot of new webinars now, and I think you can find all of those at like business.pinterest.com. Is that correct?
There's also a Pinterest Academy.
Yeah, Pinterest Academy. Yeah, that's where you can find all that stuff too.
But yeah, their help section is amazing. So you can always look on there. Basically, the main thing is that you do a 2 to 3 aspect ratio. So you want it to be a tall image, and you can use different sizes with that, but just make sure that you have it not too big. Horizontal images don't work as well. Square images are okay, but the long ones are the best. Mm-hmm. And then the format depends on what kind of thing you're doing. If you have something where you can do like show the steps of something, those are very popular. So if you have something with multiple images, like crafts are great for showing like step, step, step. You don't want to give away everything because you would want people to go to your website, obviously. So think about how you could maybe start it, like, step 1, step 2, step 3, go to our website for the rest of it. There's lots of ways to do it, but just to show how something is done. People love that, or different steps in a recipe are popular. Mm-hmm. For blogging, I never really do. I've tried multiple images, but didn't really seem to work well. I think the thing I like to do too is when I make some pins, I like to go look at my pins and look at the related pins underneath it to see what is, to see if my pin is kind of fitting in with what I think the topic should be. So that's just a little hint. Like if you have a pin that's popular, pull it up on Pinterest and look underneath it at the related pins to see what else is around it. To see if it's kind of like, and then if you have one pin that does get popular, that's obviously the recipe for all your future pins. So just kind of look at it that way. Like if something, I usually try to test things, like if I'm doing a blog makeover, something new, even working with a podcast, I did some that I thought were good, and then I didn't really like them. Then I did some other ones. I thought those were good. I didn't really like them, but now I think we're on the 3rd version.
Right. Yeah.
Now, and I think I like the 3rd version. Yeah. Now I think I like it, and they're getting a little bit more interaction too. So it does take a little bit of testing to see what ones work best for your brand and who's following you and getting your message out there. So don't be afraid to experiment and make templates for yourself once you find something that works.
That's a great point. Donna has this question, and she goes, I've always struggled with Pinterest, and I don't really understand how to pin. I just seem to pin it and hope for the best. Well, Donna, at least, you're doing something. And yeah, so, that's what a lot of us do. But we try to be you want to see what's working, and Peg's given some great advice, like see what's in related pins to create more content like that. But Pinterest is for, like, Peg, I know, and for myself, it's one of the best drivers of long-term traffic. So if you have a blog or something like that, being able to put that out there and then see the traffic come from that, it's a process. It's not as fast as some of the other ones, but for the long term, it's way better. It stays in front of people a lot longer. Peg always uses an example of that cupcake pin. So talk about that a little bit. You have that cupcake thing that comes up every year. Don't you have a special?
I have a
Yeah, you said
I
you
have a couple. I have a couple pins that come up seasonally. Right now we're at Christmas,
right,
and then I have a cherry. It's a boozy cherry pin. So it's these little cherries that you soak in vodka, I think it is. Then you dip them in chocolate and sprinkles. And every year those get popular. And every year I'm like, I'm going to make those again because honestly they are good.
but those were pinned a long time ago from you, right? Those,
yeah. And an example from Guy's website, who's totally different, like writes about tech, writes about entrepreneurship. He has one that we did a infographic for how to do a pitch for VCs, for entrepreneurs to get venture capital money. And that is bringing in, I think, like 10,000 hits a week. And I pinned it like 6 years ago or 5 years ago, or something, like a really long time ago. And it's still bringing in a lot of traffic. So think about something that people would be searching for. So think of something that you can make, something that will bring value every holiday, or if it's an idea that people will look up over time. Some of my blog posts get like to just come up seasonally, but then also I have one that's like how not to be a jerk when you promote yourself, and that one comes up a lot because I think people want to know. Obviously people are interested in that, or what to do if your blog content gets stolen, or like kind of evergreen thing that people are going to look at. So if you can relate that to what people would be searching for on Pinterest, what would people be looking for? Think about that, because the long-term value is definitely there. In creating the images, it's definitely worth the time to create multiple images for each pin, because Pinterest does want to see fresh content. So you don't want to be repinning the same ones over and over again. You want to add something new with a new title, with a new description, and especially just look in your Google Analytics or your Pinterest Analytics to see what's been popular, and that will give you an idea of how to. I always do that. Like when something is popular, no matter what platform it is, you got to just kind of break it down and figure out what it is. Right?
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah. And now with the tools, what'd you say?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, now with the tools, like you mentioned, fresh content, it's easier than ever. Like with Canva, or Easel is one of my favorite ones to use. Being able to create, you start with your one that you really like for your blog post or product, but then make multiple variations. Like you mentioned, the fresh pins, and that Pinterest really likes that. So I think it's easier than ever. And if you have some multiple templates you can use, try and see what works. Because both of us have had pins that we thought, oh my gosh, I just threw this one up, it's not going to work. And it went crazy. And it's like usually the ones you don't think of that really do well.
Yeah. So going back to Google Plus, an example from Google Plus for this is the first post I had there that really went viral. I had used a certain way to format everything that I had been working on for a while, and it ended up being like a title on the top that I made bold with a little subtitle underneath that was like italicized, and then some bullet points, a question, and then hashtags underneath that. And after I figured that whole thing out and used that, that's how I posted everything. It took more time to post it, but my posts always did better. Mm-hmm. So it's worth it to try to figure out what works on a platform and then reproduce it. So for Pinterest, they kind of broke that down for us. You add the title, you add the description. It would be nice if they had little hashtags there that popped up. Pinterest, you could add some there to suggest that we could click on. But it's all right there. You add it, they're giving you all the things that they want for the recipe. They just want you to write a really good, interesting description. So think about your title and your description being different, and your description kind of explaining what it is that people can learn from this pin, and using keywords in both of them. That can be a great recipe for success right there. Just, practicing writing the descriptions so they're interesting. Regardless of your industry is important. So it's not just title, but it's evolved so much. Remember when we just used to have like one thing,
right?
Or pin something with no title or description back
now it's tons of stuff. Yeah. So that's why we have you, Peg, so you can keep us all up to date and all this stuff. Last question I want to ask you. So let's take it from like a brand new person. You're in charge of creating content for this business. They put you in charge of social media, and they want you to be on Pinterest. And it's a really, what you think of as a boring business. Where would you tell them to first start? Like the very first step to get content?
The first thing is, I always like think of how lucky you are to have a job where you can get paid to be on Pinterest.
That's right. That's true.
So first is applaud that ability to be on Pinterest. The second thing I would do is to, like I said at the beginning, come up with, what your main, obviously, what your company is, come up with what other boards you can use to support your industry. And then obviously you're going to get your little Pinterest planner from Tailwind, and you can go through by month to get ideas for what content you're going to create. I like to use, good segue there, Jeff.
Yeah, where you go.
I like to use the planner. I've had it for a couple of years now. I'll give you an example. So it's December now, and now like here's my little things to pin. So you can just look at this and you can come up with ideas. So say you are, pins to do recipes, gift ideas, Hanukkah, Christmas. So say you are Staples and you sell tons of paper, but it's gift ideas for Christmas. So you could come up with 10 things to get for, the paper lover for Christmas. Like if they like this, they'll also like these things. So think of ways that you can create content around what the ideas are that go with your industry. And then search on Pinterest, do research actually on Pinterest to see what other brands are similar to yours and what they're doing. They don't even have to be in your same industry. Look for great ideas. Did somebody use, more color, less color? What kind of images? Images are really, really important. So you always want to use the best images you can. If you can take your own original photos, that's great. And even you can take great photos just with your phone. So think about ways that you can creatively share your industry with images that help explain, and use a little bit of text on there, and then add subtle branding. Pinterest is big on subtle branding. Mm-hmm. So add a little logo or just the URL at the bottom for it. And I think that regardless of your industry, you should be able to do well by creating some main boards, and then you want at least 10 or 15 boards total. So think about building around what your main thing is. They could be like for the museum, you could have local boards, you could have exhibit boards, you could have, science boards, you could have STEM boards, you could have you could just go crazy, exhibit floor by floor, things to do on a Saturday afternoon. Create a treasure hunt for people at the museum using Pinterest, where they could, find these 5 things. There's so many different things. So just kind of brainstorm, come up with ideas. If you're not sure what you want yet, you could do some secret boards before they're full. You could create secret boards for your main things. And then once you have 10 pins on them, you could release them, make them public. So use your secret boards as research. And I use my secret boards all the time for stuff like that. And don't be afraid to try it out. If it doesn't work, you can always switch your strategy up later, but just get started.
Yeah.
And again, applaud yourself for having a job where you can do Pinterest.
You can use Pinterest. Yeah. That is a great point. Thanks, Peg. Tons of great information there. And we'd love for you guys to go download this Pinterest planner we keep referring to. You can find it bit.ly/Pin Planner Unleashed. That's all lowercase, all smashed together. That's bit.ly/Pin Planner Unleashed. And Peg, so much information. Where can people find out more about you?
My website is pegfitzpatrick.com. And if you really want to know what I like and all about me, you can look at my Pinterest, which is also Peg Fitzpatrick. And there's all different kinds of stuff on there. So yeah, I'm Peg Fitzpatrick everywhere. So it's easy to find me.
Awesome. And I want to end the show with this great quote by this great comment from Amanda. She goes, "I just signed up for Tailwind and bought a year and can't wait to use it and figure out how to use it." So keep coming back to these live videos that we do. We talk about Pinterest every week. We're going to take a break for next week for the holidays, but we'll be back the week after that. But thank you so much, Amanda. I'm so excited. And if you have questions, do not hesitate to leave them in the comments. The Tailwind team or myself or even Peg will come in and try to help get those questions answered. So make sure if you're watching the replay that you do that. And with that, we thank you so much, everybody. We will see you next time. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next year. Bye now.